Hello, and welcome to the Reselling Report podcast for today, Monday, August 17th, 2020. I'm your host, Ann Eckhart, and every weekday I upload the Reselling Report to update you on the day's retail and e-commerce news, including the latest from eBay, Amazon, Etsy, and Poshmark. Whether you're listening on YouTube or your favorite podcast site, make sure you are subscribed. And now let's get on with today's show. Well, happy Monday, everyone, and happy National Thrift Store Day. Yes, National Thrift Store Day is a thing, and it's today. So if you can safely get out to your local thrift stores, you might want to head out. And if they know about National Thrift Store Day, they may be having promotions. I've already seen some advertised online in different parts of the country. Of course, it's going to depend on each individual thrift store because they are usually independently run, but might be some good deals out there for you to snag. Little retail news to start the day. The clothing rental startup Rent the Runway is closing all of its stores for good. Now, they will continue their online operations, but they had about 5 stores, I think, brick and mortar that they are going to close, of course, due to the coronavirus pandemic and lack of people buying formal wear, but they still will run their online shop. Also, according to a post over on CNBC, retail sales bounced to an all-time high, but lack of stimulus from Congress put gains at risk. According to this post, retail sales rose to a record level in July, recovering what was lost in the pandemic. But the rebound in consumer spending is at risk because of the failure by Congress to agree to a new fiscal stimulus package. July retail sales increased 1.2% from June to $536 billion and were up 2.7% from July of last year. June's sales gain was revised up to 8.4% from 7.5%. We're back to where we were before the pandemic. If there's one part of the economy that has a V-shaped recovery, it's retailing, said Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. But economists say the V could turn into a W as the unemployed lose enhanced benefits that were providing individuals a supplement of $600 a week, and that, of course, ended in July. Retail sales is viewed as one barometer for the health of the consumer, and with 28 million people still collecting some form of unemployment assistance, as of mid-July, economists say that assistance has played a big role in the bounce back in sales. Special pandemic assistance for gig workers and the self-employed will continue through December. Diane Swank, chief economist at Grant Thornton, said she is not raising her forecast for third quarter GDP because of the strong data. She is waiting to see what happens in August when the unemployed no longer receive those extra funds. Even if we get a retrenchment related to the loss of benefits and unemployment insurance, we'll still have a strong third quarter, but it's setting the stage for a bigger collapse in the fourth quarter. August retail sales could be flat to down. Democrats in the House had sought to retain the $600 a week payment, but Republicans in the Senate proposed just $200. Talks stalled, and the Senate has now taken a recess. President Donald Trump signed an executive order providing $300 a week for the unemployed and asked for states to add $100 to that number. However, it could take several weeks for the funds to be processed, and that could still vary by state. Critics point to studies showing 70% of the recipients were receiving more than their normal salaries, and some economists say part of the decline in people collecting unemployment claims may have to do with the fact that workers returned to their jobs when the extra payments ran out. But the payments did seem to be a clear help for the consumer, which represents about 70% of the economy. One of the bigger gains in July from last year was sales at grocery stores, up 10.6%. One reason is people are returning to bars and restaurants, but also food insecurity is intensifying. That's the area we want to watch closely in August when we lose the $18 billion. That's what the $600 weekly supplement translates to, $18 billion. Spending in restaurants and bars was up 5% over June. Electronics and appliance sales were up the most, gaining 22.9% from June, but still down 2.8% from last year. Clothing and apparel sales rose 5.7%, but are down 20.9% from a year ago. And motor vehicle sales were down 1.2% from June, but were up 6.1% from last year. So a lot will be revealed, I think, like this article says, in August. Now that that extra bump in unemployment is gone, we'll see what spending looks like, especially which would normally be the big back-to-school shopping season. I don't know. In my area, kids are given a choice, or families are, I guess, parents. Kids can do completely at-home virtual learning or completely in school. They can't do either or a combo. It's either or. no combination. Like you can't go to school a couple days, do virtual at home. You have to choose. And they already had to make that decision. So, for parents who are going to keep their kids home and do virtual learning, homeschool, obviously what they're purchasing for back to school in terms of clothing is going to be different. But some analysts have said that they expect to see supplies do better, especially electronics, as people get those items for their kids to do virtual learning. So I'll be interested once we get to September to see what August's numbers ends up being. Before I get to news from the reselling sites themselves, I want to talk about the post office because this, of course, has been at the forefront of most resellers' minds. All of the difficulties currently going on at USPS from service being scaled back, shipments being delayed, people not getting their orders. It's a mess, and I know a lot of people are dealing with it. I thought I would share with you a article over on the denverchannel.com that kind of encompasses everything that's going on right now. This article is titled Post Office Removing Machines, Raising Prices, and Warning of Election Delays. So this post reads, the sudden and abrupt breakdown of the U.S. Postal Service has unfolded in recent days as Democrats call for a funding boost ahead of this year's presidential election. On Friday, the USPS announced a temporary price increase in some services from October 18th until December 27th. The rate hike affects commercial services as retail services are not affected. Meanwhile, the USPS has been removing mailboxes and processing machines. The machines and mailboxes are being removed across the country, according to local reports from a number of Scripps stations. On Friday, CNN and the Washington Post reported that a number of states have received letters from the Postal Service warning that they might not have the ability to ensure ballots are sent and returned in a timely manner. The warning comes as more Americans are expected to utilize mail-in voting due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Postal Service is asking election officials and voters to realistically consider how the mail works, says Martha Johnson, a spokeswoman for USPS. Despite requesting a mail-in ballot himself for next week's Florida primary, President Donald Trump has tried to sow doubt in recent weeks over the reliability of mail-in voting, claiming that the process is ripe with fraud. But there's been limited evidence to suggest his fears are founded. With the Postal Service facing financial troubles due to rising pension costs and decreasing usage, Trump said he would agree to funding the Postal Service, but would need some concessions from Democrats. Sure, if they want to give us what we want, and it's not what I want, it's what the American people want, Trump said on Friday. So we have, of course, been seeing footage of the post boxes that are on, street corners and whatnot being taken down. The post office now says that they have stopped doing that until at least after the election. So we'll see how that happens. Still getting reports of overtime not happening. So mail is being delayed. Bottom line is, if you are going to request an absentee ballot, do it now and vote as soon as you get it. We vote by mail almost all the time, have for years. It is safe. It is legal. Actually just sent in our requests for our absentee ballots here in Iowa. Every state is a little different. Some states do offer complete mail-in voting, and you will get ballots sent to you. So, some people will say, oh, you're being political when you say this. I'm not. I'm saying that when you get your ballots, vote as soon as you can. And if you get a request for an absentee ballot, send it back and do it by mail unless you do feel safe going to the polls on election day. Just note that if you do want to vote by mail, you want to get that ballot and you want to get it in as soon as possible because, again, things are going to be delayed. Now, turning to the reselling sites themselves, we'll start with eBay today and a new post that's over on the e-commerce Bytes blog that's titled eBay Internal Memo on Ethics. See something, say something. This article reads, eBay CEO Jamie Iannone sent employees a message about ethics this week in light of recent events. Of course, the former eBay employees who have been arrested and charged with cyber stalking this very couple who runs the e-commerce Bytes blog. He also invited former colleagues Rob Chestnut to speak to the company about ethics. He told employees that if they see something, they should say something. Now, Chestnut, who ran eBay's trust and security division from March 1999 through September 2008, recently published a book about corporate ethics. Iannone's memo to eBay employees reads as follows. Team. Nearly 25 years ago, eBay was founded on the idea of fairness and the dream of building an honest marketplace with a level playing field. During our recent global all hands, we continue the conversation about how recent events have given us the opportunity to reflect, reset, and act. We have zero tolerance for unethical behavior at eBay. Acting with integrity is simply who we are. Since I rejoined eBay earlier this year, and particularly over the last couple of months, the eBay leadership team has frequently discussed how openness, honesty, respect, and doing business with integrity drives our success. I visited a dozen individual team meetings talking about this topic across the company. We're posting news and info on the hub, and we're often reminding team members that if you see something that doesn't seem quite right, we want you to say something. There are multiple avenues to report, including anonymously if you would like. Of course, we have a strict non-retaliation policy to protect everyone who raises a concern, and we've also emphasized these values and our commitment to upholding them with the seller community and our shareholders. And here's the thing, ethics is everyone's responsibility. We all need to see ourselves as being personally accountable for our commitment to doing business ethically. That's why I strongly encourage you to join me, Marie O'Haber, and Chief Legal Officer, and Molly Finn, the Chief Compliance Officer, in conversation with Rob Chestnut, an eBay alum and highly regarded ethics and integrity expert. Rob is the former Chief Ethics Officer at Airbnb and recently published a new book, Intentional Integrity: How Smart Companies Can Lead an Ethical Revolution. Our focus will be on bridging the insights Rob offers in his book with past events here at eBay and the respect he has for our culture and team. I'm looking forward to hear about Rob's perspective on how we can further advance our efforts. The calendar invite will be out shortly for Monday, August 24th, and we'll record the session and share it with everyone. He concludes his letter to employees by saying, as always, I want to hear from you as much as you do from me. Good ideas come from many places, so please continue to share your ideas on our strategy, our business execution, and additional actions we can be taking to ensure we live our values every day. That again is from Jamie Ione. I've been really pleased with Jamie Ione's response during this whole thing. Of course, there is very limited of what the current eBay employees can actually say publicly regarding the case. It is an ongoing case. It will, end up, I'm sure, at trial unless they plead out for it. So it is, they can't come out and say, hey, these people sent pig masks or bloody pig mask pictures to this couple. Obviously can't say stuff like that, but he is clearly addressing the controversy and the arrest of those former employees. And I think they've been really open, not only with their employees, but also with sellers themselves. I've been really pleased with that. So, Jamie Ione definitely stepping up and trying to reinforce ethics with the entire eBay team. So hopefully that will create a very positive environment at eBay corporate, because when the eBay employees are happy, that trickles down to us, and we then are happy sellers, and we're all happy together over on eBay. In Amazon news, according to an article on masslive.com, more than a dozen Massachusetts malls could be transformed as part of a deal with Amazon. We've been talking about this a lot at the show, about rumors of Amazon looking to snatch up space at malls that have been vacated by department stores. We've heard a lot about JCPenney. Maybe they would want to make a bid to actually acquire JCPenney so that they would not only have the brand, but they would also have their empty stores and their distribution centers. According to this article, should e-commerce Amazon.com and Simon Property Group come to an agreement about utilizing anchor department stores as Amazon distribution hubs, it could have a big impact on Massachusetts commercial real estate. Simon has 14 locations in Massachusetts, the fourth largest foothold in the U.S. for the Indianapolis-based mall owner, behind Florida, California, and Texas. The Simon and Amazon discussions have mostly centered on using either vacant or occupied Sears or JCPenney locations as Amazon distribution centers. Of the 14 Simon properties in Massachusetts, 5 have Sears or JCPenney locations. Amazon is already one of the largest industrial tenants in Greater Boston and is on track to become the largest non-institutional occupier of real estate in the region. The company has gobbled up last-mile industrial space for distribution and delivery centers. Last year, North Andover approved a 3.6 million square foot Amazon distribution center that could employ 1,500 people, and the company is also planning a 100,000 square foot delivery station in South Boston. For Sears' part, it wouldn't be the first time the retailer has utilized its expansive real estate footprint to incorporate other tenants. Even prior to Amazon's acquisition of Whole Foods, Sears had subleased some of its store space to accommodate the grocery chain, and Amazon's acquisition of the grocery chain gave immediate access to a sophisticated supply chain. What's more, after the bonanza of its second headquarters search, Amazon has deeply researched site selection reports in most major markets in North America. The Amazon and Simon talks are not finalized and could fall through, of course, but I just wanted to share this story with you because, again, it's something we've been talking about, Amazon coming in and utilizing empty mall space. Now, our JCPenney is now closed several years back, and there's now an at-home store. We did lose our Sears a couple of years ago. That is completely empty. We now have an empty Dillard's. We now have an empty Yonkers. So our mall has plenty of department store space available. So it'll be interesting to see here in the coming, year or two how malls are able to revitalize the empty department store spaces that are popping up all over the country and leaving a huge gut in shopping malls that hopefully could be filled by something, and that something might end up being Amazon. Etsy has released their 2020 holiday trends, and I thought this would be good to share with all of you because even if you don't sell on Etsy, these might be things that you can look for to resell on whatever site you are in. It says our annual holiday trend report guides you through the season's key themes and biggest opportunities. So this post reads, this year, Etsy sellers have used two of their biggest strengths, creativity and agility, to rise to the challenge of meeting new demand. From the practical to the playful, think face masks, mugs, and puzzles, you've pivoted your inventory to help shoppers find everyday basics and moments of joy during a difficult time. With the holidays approaching and most shopping happening online, more shoppers will be looking for your help to make the season feel special. Now more than ever, it's important to give each other reasons to smile, said Etsy trend expert Dana Isholm Johnson. Whether inspiring shoppers, driving into a new hobby, or creating the most festive space possible, this holiday season is all about the things that lift people's spirits. While we can't predict exactly what this year's holiday season will bring, we're sure creativity will continue to have a seat at the table. And with no one as full of imaginative ideas as Etsy sellers, the opportunity is yours. Trends are quickly evolving these days and will be keeping you in the loop so you don't miss a chance to shine. Read on to learn about the holiday trends worth tapping and stay tuned for fresh updates through the season. So they have an seasonal overview saying the holiday season it's Etsy's busiest time of year, which is pretty much all the time. Then they have a calendar of key timing updates with all of the major holidays and dates coming up through fourth quarter, starting with Labor Day all the way through New Year's Eve. It says key opportunities. Etsy's holiday season presents the year's biggest opportunity for increased traffic and sales. This year, more shopping is happening online and people are starting their holiday shopping earlier. Holiday shopping typically begins with decor before shifting to gifting. This year's focus may be more on decor than entertaining and hosting, which makes sense. You can't have people over, but maybe you'll go a little more into decorating your own house. Introduce giftable items early and keep them on hand through Cyber Week and December to capture early peak and last minute shoppers. Cater to a wide range of gift recipients, including shoppers who may be self-gifting. I see a lot of that this year. 1 for me, 1 for you. 2 for me, 1 for you. 3 for me, maybe nothing for you. Let's just all spend money on ourselves. During last year's cyber event, listings on sale sold at a higher rate than those that were not on sale. Keep an eye out for more information on how to take part in Etsy sales events. And you can help shoppers make this holiday season joyful with things like personalization, gift wrap, and including a handwritten note. Consider that many shoppers will be having their gifts shipped directly to a recipient rather than giving the gift in person. Now that right there would be something that all the sites could help shoppers do, and that is to change the shipping address when they buy something to ship directly to someone. That's very hard on eBay. If they had been paying, through PayPal, they just went right to their address. That'd be something that I think would be great if the sites could utilize that. Obviously, Amazon does. But Etsy, Poshmark, eBay, I think the shopper would have to go an extra step, and I'm not even sure if they could change the shipping to someone else. I'll have to look into that. The post goes on cross-category trends, purpose and meaning, financial concerns, and the giving spirit inspire people to shop more intentionally and practice mindful gifting. Practicality, shoppers are looking for everyday items that bring them joy and offer long-lasting quality and versatility with products that work across multiple uses. Sustainability, of course, the DIY spirit boosting in craft that we've seen recently. Connection and community with shoppers looking to show kindness for others. Comfort for at-home and clothing. Personalization, which is proven Etsy winner. And trending looks and motifs, a handmade feel, retro holiday, yay for vintage sellers. Cheerful citrus, zesty lemons, cute kumquats, and blood oranges lead this fresh trend. Indigo, that tie-dye trend, which has been in place for a while now, is very popular. And Etsy bestsellers, wreaths, personalized Christmas stocking ornaments, including personalized and commemorative 2020, engagement and wedding rings, holiday pajamas, festive wall art and signs. New bestsellers, of course, being face masks and fast mask making supplies, craft kits, children's name puzzles and indoor climbing gyms, and everyday year-round bestsellers mugs, personalized necklaces, and bridesmaids, robes, and gifts. Well, why'd they put that in there? Are people having weddings in the middle of the pandemic? No. Why are they? Well, I guess maybe people are having virtual weddings and the bridesmaids get a robe. I don't know. And then they break down Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas into what you can kind of think about and look for as you list. This is a very, very long report. So if you want to dive into it even more, it will be linked in the show notes. But again, even if you're not an Etsy seller, this is something to look at and think about what you can bring from these forecasts into your own reselling shop over on eBay and Poshmark. Over on the Poshmark Facebook page, they have added a link to an article over on Better Homes and Gardens with a post that reads, "Want great deals on vintage home decor? Look no further. Interior designer and vintage decor seller stylist Chelsea Moorman, Chelsea, especially loves the convenience of buying vintage decor online after her antique booth was shut down during COVID-19. And then Poshmark thanks Better Homes and Gardens for including them in this article. The article says best places to shop for vintage home decor and furniture online. When you're ready to start shopping secondhand online, check out these sites for great deals on vintage decor and furniture. The article reads, few things beat the thrill of finding the perfect flea market piece for your home. Since the coronavirus pandemic began, however, the ability to shop for vintage accessories in person has been limited. With so many stores and markets closed or with new restrictions, searching online for secondhand finds has never been a better option. It's safe, convenient, and introduces an even broader selection of vintage items. Chelsea Moorman, a frequent vintage seller from Columbus, Ohio, has relied more heavily on selling items online through sites like Poshmark since her antique booth was shut down due to COVID-19. She notes that one of the main perks of buying vintage online is convenience. Going to an antique store takes a lot of time out of your day, and since lots of smaller antique stores are only open until 6 p.m., I can't always get there in time. She also works as a nurse during the day. Man, I don't know how people work a full-time job and then do reselling on top of it. Tell you what, that's more energy than I have. She goes on to say, online, you can shop so much quicker and anytime you want. The major drawback of shopping vintage or secondhand online, though, is that you can't see it in person before you buy, which means you can't inspect the piece for damage or feel the texture before committing. While most sellers are fairly transparent about the condition of a piece, you can always ask specific questions about the functionality or other details before purchasing, which to me says put that information in the listing already. I see so many people like, if you have a question, just ask. No, put it in the listing. Then they don't have to bother you with questions. Wasting their time and yours. Just put it in the listing. Okay. In some cases, you might have to accept a few imperfections. If you're buying something that's 60 years old, for example, there's some expectation of wear and use. While shopping for vintage accessories online, keywords and search filters are invaluable tools. Apart from specifying the style or type of item, Dallas designer Courtney Warren suggests trying a variety of keywords while searching online. If you're looking for an antique buffet, some people might call that a sideboard or a china cabinet. Think of alternative descriptions and you may hit something that is an amazing find that has not been seen. And try different spellings of common styles and decor items. For example, you'll uncover more results by searching mid-century modern, MCM, and mid-century modern. That's a great tip right there to put those keywords in your titles. Alternate spellings, both the full out and the abbreviation, and what people call it, obviously, in different parts of the country or even the world. This article goes on to say the sheer volume of online options can be overwhelming for inexperienced shoppers. The first and most important step is to know where to look to find the best vintage items, especially if you're shopping on a budget. Certain resale sites are better than others for finding affordable, high-quality goods. And the article mentions AptDeco, AptDeco, AptDeco. AptDeco. Then Craigslist, of course. They also mention eBay, similar to Craigslist in its abundance of selection. eBay typically requires a bit of finesse to find the perfect home treasure. It's best to search for a specific item, then use the site's filtering tools to narrow the results by color, material, style, price, and more. Now, right there, that part, that means really good advice and to fill in as many of those item descriptions as you can. And we all know eBay has given us a lot of them as of late. And I know they can be annoying and overwhelming, but as much information as you can put into those fields, the more likely you'll get a hit if somebody is utilizing them to scale down their search. If you're interested in a highly sought after piece, such as an authentic mid-century piece, be prepared to do some bidding. They also say Etsy, although it's best known for its handmade items, you can find beautiful vintage decor and rugs on Etsy too. There's no designated vintage section on the site. There isn't? That's like the third category they sell in. Handmade, craft supplies, vintage. What? Okay, so you'll have to rely on search to find these pieces. Well, yeah, but if you go into search, then they have the categories broken down, don't they? I don't think this person knows what they're talking about, but you can let me know, Etsy sellers. How do you shop for vintage on Etsy? Leave your tips below. It says try using keywords like vintage, antique, or collectible. And if you find a specific vintage seller you like, you can favor the shop and check back in when they release new old products. Great tip. Another site they mentioned is Everything But the House. Also Food 52. And of course, Poshmark, which is widely known as a clothing resale site. Poshmark also has a home market where users sell decorative accents, tableware, wall decor, and other home goods. To narrow your search, you can filter by brands like Crate & Barrel or Opal House by Target. If you're interested specifically in antiques, check out the site's vintage home section. So just wanted to share that article with you because it shouts out the reselling sites that are the most popular for most of us, right? Poshmark, eBay, Etsy, and just some tips and tricks, not only for people shopping for vintage, but those of us listing vintage. And finally, today, I always want to share with you when I find articles that talk about reselling, and there is a new one over on the yakimaherald.com titled Your Guide to Launching an Online Clothing Resale Business. Post reads, shopping usually means spending money, but what if you could use your passion for shopping to make some money? That's a real possibility thanks to the booming world of online clothing reselling. Yet another site that thinks reselling is a brand new thing. We all know it's different, but whatever, it's getting coverage. With platforms like Mercari, Poshmark, and eBay, it's easy to launch your own clothing resale business, and these 6 steps will help you get started. Number 1 is select a platform, and they talk about eBay. What I think is interesting in this article is they talk about what's good about eBay, and then they say what's not so good about eBay. We all know the good. You can promote your items, simple, affordable, sell your products around the world. Once you list items, you don't have to do much with your store to make sales. But they say what's not so good about eBay. Listing items can be time consuming due to the amount of detail required. Yes, but the more detail you put in, the more likely you are to turn that into a sale. So you work up front and then I think it's done. Your buyers have up to 180 days to make returns. No, they do not. What is that? That means you could be required to provide a refund of up to 6 months after making the sale. What? Okay. We'll look into that later. Buyers have 2 days to pay for an item after purchasing it, so you may have to wait a bit to get paid. Then it goes through the shipping and fees. Then it goes to Poshmark. Poshmark, what's good about Poshmark? The social aspect is great. If you like being part of a community, it is simple to list your items, and Poshmark calculates exactly how much you'll receive after fees are taken out. All that's true. What's not so good about Poshmark? It can be time consuming as you have to build followers, share your items, follow other sellers, list regularly, and more to keep your store relevant. The shipping fees can be off-putting. That is absolutely true. $7.11 to ship a lightweight item. And there seems to be more emphasis placed on selling over buying. So there's more competition. And I agree with that one. Also goes on to Mercari. What's good? It's easy to list and the commission you pay is lower than some other platforms. But it says what's not so good other than sales can be slow. It also talks about shipping and fees on all these sites. Goes on to say choose your inventory wisely, doing retail arbitrage, resell pallets, and thrifting, of course. Set your price, take pictures that sell, list the details, and promote your listing. So just an interesting article that is gives a really good overview of all the steps that you need to take when you are reselling items. But I just have to go back to this funny thing at the bottom, like reselling clothing is this new booming business. Really? We all know that's not true. But anyway, just another article giving some legitimacy, I think, to the business of reselling. And that's a wrap on today's show. If you listened on YouTube, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment. Remember that you can also listen to the podcast via Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and more. Check out the show notes for links to the articles I referenced. And if you want to learn how to make money on eBay and YouTube the way I do, check out my books. My Amazon store is also linked. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.